everybody, and welcome to the show. We are with Comics News today, and I am Chester C. Busby III, and of course, I am joined by my panel as usual. And we're going to have some fun here for a while, just chatting about and talking about a little bit of news and just comic books in general today. It's a Sunday for the majority of us, so we want to kind of be laid back and talk a little bit. Hey, who knows? We might even talk about football because we know how much Booster loves that. How you doing, Booster?
I'm great. I'm doing very well, thank you. I have disgusting fried food. I have an energy drink, and I know nothing about football. I am the last person to talk about any sport to.
Yes, I know.
I only vaguely know about rugby because it's the only thing our country will bloody talk about.
Okay.
Because the All Blacks are good at it. That's the only reason our country likes rugby.
Well, they are very good at it, actually. They are exceptional. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And their haka is always interesting to watch.
But I love the haka.
Yep, everyone loves the haka for some reason. But anyway, moving on, we have the creator of Ignition himself, Todd Mulrooney. How you doing today, Todd?
I'm doing really good. How about yourself, Chester?
I am excellent, dude. I got up real early this morning so I could be on a stream with Brad and Gary Shipman, and I'm getting ready for my afternoon classes. But yeah, I'm in good shape and looking forward to talking a little bit about comic books today, man. And of course, we are joined by the Lord of Thunder himself, Thundero. How you doing today, man?
I am fantastic. Got to spend some time with the wife. Loving having a good day. No complaints.
Excellent.
No complaints at all.
Well, you always got to spend time with the wife. Those are fun times, and it's also very, very useful times because, as we all know, a happy wife is a happy life. But I do have a question for you, Thundero. I see that you are calling yourself Tonkabot now. What's up with the Tonkabot, man?
It's a reference to another stream that I watch. Basically, a bunch of people were saying that everybody that likes this guy is a bot, so I named myself after him.
Oh, I see.
Just as a joke.
You're talking about Tonka. Okay, Mr.
Yeah,
Metacore and those guys. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I enjoy those guys myself. I've been watching them for years. But those are dudes right there you do not want to piss off.
No.
Not at all, dude.
You want to stay clear unless you're ready for it. Just stay clear.
You do not want their attention because they will give it to you. But they are good fun though. I've always, especially Mr. Metacore, I've enjoyed him since he was back with the what was the he had that character. It was like some
the
British
Internet
aristocracy. What was it called?
The Internet Aristocrat.
The Internet Aristocrat. Yeah, some great stuff, man.
Hold that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and he's the one that really laid into the whole Gamergate nonsense, which of course, if anybody followed that, you know that is complete nonsense. Which kind of brought, no, it was, dude. I mean, and it kind of brought us to the situation I was in the other day, because I was sitting with Brad, and I go on Brad's show, Pencil for Life, and he runs comic book stores, multiple ones, and he does a previews, which is from Diamond, which we actually have one of the Diamond people on to join us on that show, which is amazing. But we also do comic reviews on Wednesdays of the new books that are coming out. And of course, one of the ones that was coming out was Goddess Mode #1. And of course, I had no interest to read that or have anything to do with it. I mean, Zoe Quinn and Robbie Rodriguez. I mean, come on. But I had to read it, and I had to review it, and I had to give it a good review because the art was insanely good and the writing wasn't bad.
That's what kills me, man. Like, it looks great, and, purple's my favorite color, so, all the purple everywhere, it's just doing all sorts of things for my brain, right? That art looks fantastic.
It is.
I just don't want to support these people at all.
And you shouldn't. And
it kills me that they made a good comic. I would love to rip it apart if they made a bad one. Believe me.
But you got to be honest, dude. You got to be fair, and that's what I did. But here's the thing I will say about that to continue that comment, because I did, with Brad, I want things to be very neutral because we're reviewing a comic book. It's not about giving opinion, right? It's about giving opinion on the quality of the book. But here's the thing: Robert Rodriguez is an absolute subhuman, but he's an amazing artist. Zoe Quinn did not write that book. She did not. That was ghostwritten, or maybe she might have had a hand in it, but she did not write those words. I'm telling you, because I've listened to this girl speak before, particularly of this subject we just got into with Gamergate. She is not the brightest bulb in the pack, dude. She's not that smart. Now her friend Anita Sarkeesian is quite smart, actually. She's very clever, but Zoe Quinn is not. And so there's no way she wrote this because it's too well written. Even though it runs on, it's full of stupid progressive politics, but still, it is fairly well written. But I'll say right now, she didn't write all that or any of it. There's no way because it doesn't match up
Yeah,
to the interviews I've seen her do.
I'd be very surprised if she did. She's pretty. What's a diplomatic way to say stupid? Um,
Oh, she's a whore.
yeah, exactly. She's basically every meme of a thought that
No,
exists,
she is.
and
She's exactly that.
it's,
I mean,
it's
look
just
at
all good.
the things that happened with Gamergate, right?
Yeah.
She came out. The whole thing came out is because she was dating this guy in the industry, but she was sleeping with a whole bunch of other people in the gamer journalism to get her crap game high ratings. She's literally a whore. Literally. And then she sold a bunch of naked pictures of herself, and then she complained people were putting naked pictures online. Well, you got paid for it, lady. What's your problem? Oh God, don't even get me on Zoe
Mm.
Quinn. She's such a toxic, evil thing. She
Yeah, I
lies.
wouldn't mind a bit
She's
of money
evil.
for. I wouldn't mind to make a bit of money off naked pictures, but no one will buy mine.
Oh, you never know. They might. They might.
Yeah.
Then what
Some.
did you sell? What did you sell me then? What
Oh,
Ooh,
crap is this?
secrets are coming
Oh.
out.
I gotta go mute for a minute.
Oh no. But yeah, guys, we don't want to get into that Gamergate thing. But any of you who know what it is, it had nothing to do with anti-woman or misogyny. It had nothing to do with it. It had to do with journalistic integrity. That was the whole argument, right?
Mhm.
But nevertheless, they twisted it into this ugly thing, just like they do all the time. But moving away from that, just keep in mind, of course, guys, we have all our links down below, and we're very happy to have you come and join FanSpeak and give your ideas. We've seen more and more people put up their reviews, art, their move the needle lists, all kind of things like that. It's really cool. Thank you guys for doing that. Keep doing that. But of course, hitting that like button, subscribe certainly helps us out, and hitting that share button lets everyone know what we are doing. So please go ahead and do that and help us out with that. But before we get into the news, we only got a couple pieces we're going to talk about today. I thought we'd just talk about comics in general. Now, I know we have some projects that are being worked on here with Todd and I are involved. Now, Todd has his Ignition. So let's talk about that a little bit first, Todd. How is Ignition coming along? What's your window for that? What are you looking toward doing?
Well, I moved everything back to give which this really was a good idea, by the way, but
Mhm.
so that we could do Tales from Beyond the Gate
Mhm.
and sort of have that launch us as a group because of the people that are involved. If people don't out there that don't know, we got Ethan Van Sciver, RT Bear, James Hudnall, Mike Barron, John Malin. These are the pros that are actually going to donate some work to us of their own so that they can help bring up a second level of creators
Mhm.
to carry us, almost like mentor us a little bit and give us a chance to create a bit bigger audience through their help. So I decided to push Ignition back a little bit. And there may be something else that's going to happen. I'm not so sure. I don't want to talk about it, but it might push it back even further. I might get a chance to do something really big. So we'll see.
Well, that's cool, dude. And of course, the Tales from Beyond the Gate are, I'm working on that as well. And it is amazing how many artists we were able to get and pull in to help support us with those donations, as you mentioned. An incredible talent being
It's
put
really
forward
cool.
there. It is cool,
Yeah,
dude.
it's so cool.
And the people who are working on the project itself are amazingly skilled individuals. It is going to be amazing. Guys, keep your ears open as we start talking about this more and more. But this is a major project that's coming out in 2019. We know we have Rainbow Brute and we have Lone Star 2, and we're also probably going to see something from Mitch Breitweiser, continuing his Red Rooster, although he's taking his time getting it done, as he said he would. But I'm telling you, next year's one of the big projects to keep an eye on is Tales from Beyond the Gate. Not only because of the amazing talent that's working on it, but because of all the amazing legends that are donating to it to support it. It's going to be killer.
And just to let you know, I found the artist for James Hudnall's story.
Oh, good.
That Yeah, he has his book is on Incon right now, and it's not going to make it. But when I went looking at his art, I was not really sure why. But we've kind of figured out that he has one of these jobs where he goes out in the field for a certain number of months and then comes back. It's an oil field job. So they go out for 3 months and they come back for 3 months and then they go back out for 3 months. So he wasn't able to promote it. But it's called Apollo, something Guardians of something maybe.
Okay.
And his art looked really, really good. And so I asked him if he was willing to work under our system as far as what, the spec and all that. And he was happy to. He was happy to. And the idea was, I knew his book was good enough to get seen and sort of the quality was really good and it deserves a better, it deserves our community support, but it wasn't getting it. So I thought maybe this will help him to
Yeah.
do this the second time around.
Well, that is the main point, right? It is to promote these talents, these artists and these writers, colorists, so that people can see, what kind of talent is there. And the good thing about this, compared to some other projects we've talked about, the art is stellar across the board, right? So it's a really good solid project. And it's nice to hear. I'd like to meet the guy and talk to the guy you brought in for James. And of course, James Hudnall's is actually a donation. He's one of the pros. We've had him on this channel a couple times. He's been on your channel as well. Of course, Todd is a good friend of him, but James Hudnall is an amazing writer with a very, very nice pedigree. So we're very happy that he's offered to support this project in that way. And I'm glad you found an artist to deal with that. But yeah, so we can't release much information right now. We're still in the process, but just know that's coming, and we're going to be talking about that. Now, other than your projects and the projects that I'm working on with that project, I don't know that we have any other creators in the works right now, but we might have some future thoughts. Booster, you have any ideas of doing some kind of writing or getting yourself attached to a project someday?
Or doing a whole book in MS Paint.
I absolutely could. I have story ideas that's been brewing around my head for past decade or so, and but they're nothing that could be kind of shortened down to a single issue comic or a 5-page story. They're all huge spanning stories that I've got planned. So if I ever come up with something little, yeah, I'll pitch it to you lads.
Sure. Well, you should do that, dude. And if you have any ideas, I'd always be happy to help you structure it out. Now,
Yeah.
and I know we also have Pope here. Now, Pope does a lot of things in the community. Have you ever thought about getting attached to a project and then maybe doing some writing or something?
I've been asked, but I don't really think anybody wants me on as a writer. I've been asked to do some like comedy stuff with people before, but I just don't have a lot of time because I do work 2 jobs and both of them do require a lot of my time and energy.
Of course, yeah, no, I understand that, but I mean, we've seen the same thing happen with Nurkish, and seen it happen with Cecil, and I don't think either one of those guys are writers per se, but they're celebrities or they're personalities at least in the community, and some funny stuff with maybe some ghostwriting in the back was I think a good idea. It's kind of unfortunate that thing fell aside, but I think we'll see something out come out from Cecil because he is quite the personality. How about you,
Oh, he
Thundero?
definitely is.
Yeah, he is.
Oh yes. I have numerous ideas. I'd have the same problem I think as Booster, trying to condense it. But yeah, plenty of ideas floating around in my brain. I'd have to try and quantify them into something meaningful, but many
Sure.
ideas.
Well, if you need any help, just let me know, dude. I'm pretty good at condensing stuff, actually. So
Absolutely.
any help I can give to anyone, I'm always willing to give it because that's the whole point. And that's one of the cool things about this community is how many people are willing to help. We just, Todd just let off a list of people that are donated work to a book. This donation, right? They're not going to make any money off it. These are big names, and they just thrown it out because they want to help. And there's a lot of people like that. So, and I think there's an excitement where people want to get involved, they want to create, and want to be part of it, and it's wonderful. It's all part of this indie revival. And hey, will all of it be good? No. but in the end, we'll have some amazing things rise to the top, and who knows what the future holds. It's a really great thing. This is kind of one of the arguments we've had. I think Todd and I have certainly agree and disagree on various things, but with Pixel Trader as well, with his Indicron, some of the stuff that comes on Indicron is of very low quality. But then again, it's like, you could keep them out, but you never know what's going to spark from it, right? Let the market decide is always the way I look at it. But I also understand the point of view of, say, Pixel or Todd or stuff like that. I get it. I just really excited. And you got to think we're so early in here, guys. What's it going to look like in 3 years, 5 years from now? We could see some amazing things, and I'm excited about it personally. I think I've seen a lot of other people that are as well. I see ValeKnit is here as Hail Raven, of course. Kenneth Brown is in. Howdy all. Howdy, Kenneth. Joshua, of course, our favorite Trool, is always here to help us out. I kind of wonder if Joshua lives on the internet. I don't know if he sleeps. Booster, does he sleep? Booster.
Did you say Booster?
I did say Booster.
You asked me about ValeKnit. I don't know anything about ValeKnit or whether or not he sleeps.
Joshua Hughes.
So
I don't know whether or not Joshua Hughes sleeps.
Okay.
I don't know about you.
I think looks at
I don't know.
and gets full energy back.
Well, I think it's just basically confirmed that Booster's playing a video game right now. Thank you, Booster.
I'm actually not. I'm just no there.
Are you touching things again?
No, Daddy.
Goodness gracious. We, of course, have John Dillard in here, and always nice to see you. And he says, yeah, boy, send them thoughts this away. Okay, dude. Those thoughts are dangerous. You got to watch out for them. And, of course, we have Devilish Boredom in here as well. And he said, I'll edit God lol. I don't know what that means, but awesome, dude. Yeah, and I think there is actually space in the community for editors. Maybe you're not the best creator, but maybe you have skills that would make you an editor. I
honestly think that's something I'm pretty good at, is getting people to have better ideas, basically.
Yeah.
We let ideas down, go a different way with it. Stuff
There
like
you
that.
go.
Really? Really,
Yeah.
really, huh? All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We'll get you off the sidelines.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. But seriously.
No, I've heard you do this. No. I mean, I mean that because I've heard you do this with me and Todd. So I know it's not. You're not. You're just being facetious a little bit. And I
No,
know
not at all. I'm very good at cleaning
You
up
are very
people's
good at
bad
it.
ideas.
you are. So we're gonna get you off the sidelines. So be ready.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
There you go. But I think there's a lot of people in the community like that, and it's a wonderful thing. But we do have a couple of news articles we want to get into, and I guess we'll do those first, and then we'll come back and talk about comics themselves a little bit. So let me go ahead and switch that over here. The first one is kind of very interesting, and I'll introduce this here in a second. I just want to go over and make sure that our panel can see everything very clearly. And we've lost a Pope. Oh, well. Let me come over here and bring this on the browser so it's bigger and clearer for you guys. But here we have an article from The Beat. And this is talking about the new DC Universe live stream. Now, I do know that Booster and, of course, Pope, who just left. Oh, there you're back.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I clicked the wrong button.
Okay. Well,
Oh, boy.
I've done that before myself. But I do know that Booster and Pope are certainly using the DC Universe to torture themselves and watching the Titans. Since you have the DC streaming universe, you guys must be watching other things too. I mean, you're paying for it, so.
Yeah, it's got. It does have all sorts of good stuff on there, right? It has a lot of those great DC animated movies, and it has the original Teen Titans on it. It's got Justice League, the full series of that, and it has things like Batman the Animated Series, and what was another one? Batman Brave and the Bold, very underrated, very fun show.
Oh, love that show, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Pope?
So awesome.
Sometimes I watch the shorts off of it, and then I also like to watch some of the DC movies I missed. Like, I think last week I was watching the latest Superman movie. So I believe that one's on there.
Oh, yeah, for Superman, that was really good.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was what Man of Steel should have been.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. Now, what do you guys feel about the $7.99 a month, though?
It's fine. It's affordable. It's got plenty of content on it, plenty of upcoming content, and also you got a huge catalog of comics to read off it. So
Oh yes,
I don't think it's unfair.
How much was it before?
They had this really good Donna Troy arc. That's one of my favorite comics that I don't have a physical copy of. So I was really happy that they had that on there.
Oh, that's cool. I think it's always been $7.99. Yeah.
Yeah. Before this apparent 50% cut, which I think is for the people who buy a yearly package at the moment.
Well, yeah, and we'll have a conversation about what this means. It could mean several things, but I'm just curious from the people who are saying it, because from my point of view, $7.99 compared to the $11 I pay for my Netflix is very expensive, dude. For what you're being made available. And Netflix is this enormous thing that's spending ridiculous amounts of money. Now, it's not like everything I can watch. It's not like I can watch everything on there. It's not like I love everything on there, but there's something for everyone on Netflix, and there's a huge back catalog on Netflix. So the price of $7.99 is just too much. And in this article, they're talking about that 50% limited membership discount, which is bringing it down to $2.99, or $3.99, and that is still not low enough in my opinion, but it's at least interests me. What do you think, Thunder, about this pricing here that they're offering up?
I think that's fair. That's bloody nothing, man.
Is it?
It is. It isn't very much, but it is at the same time. You have to remember how much content you're getting, which you are getting a lot of comic book content. And they have a bunch of the the animated stuff, which is almost all very good. Their animated films are really good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm kind of with you on that, because Netflix you can get for $7.99 or $8, whatever it is, and you get unknown millions of hours of entertainment probably with Netflix. And this is a very niche setup, right? You're not going to get a bunch of movies about I don't know, like not superhero stuff, basically. So it just, I don't know. I think it's a fair price, but I probably would buy in if it was lower. Let's put it that way.
It's way overpriced in my opinion.
Yeah.
I suppose everyone and their mother is coming out with a bloody subscription service, and you don't want to be subscribed to all of them. It's going to get ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I think the mistake here was instead of coming out with a DC streaming universe, they should have come out with Warner Brothers.
Yes.
And then that would have been a much more sellable thing. Because just DC, now a lot of you, we're saying, ooh, there are comics on there, which is cool to me. We can read digital comics. But for most people, could care less about that.
Right.
Right. So
is Wonder Woman on there? The original
movie?
Wonder Woman from the 70s.
Oh, Linda Carter?
You would hope so. But who knows if they have the right to it.
Yeah, they may not have the rights to it.
Yeah.
Wait, they promoted it as being on there in the trailer.
There you go. Must
Yeah,
be on
Well,
there.
they also lied about a whole bunch of stuff on the Titans show, so I wouldn't really trust them to be truthful, to be honest with you.
They can always just say, "Oh no, we had to change it." Later, they can just say it was subject to change and get away with it.
Yeah, no, and they're saying this is a holiday promotion. And I guess the question I want to have, and they talk about which, in this article, there's no need to read it because everything it says in this article, Booster and Pope already said. And of course, people are quite excited about the Young Justice continuing, of course, and I'm interested in Swamp Thing. Personally, I hope it's going to be good. But the article itself is just covering those things which have already been said. But for me, the question is, why the 50% discount? Is it because it's simply a holiday promotion to get more people in, or is it because they're struggling? Because
Titans didn't do well. Titans hasn't been doing well. The people that are praising it aren't buying the streaming service.
Yeah,
they're banking on Young Justice.
Well, tell us
That's why they didn't launch with Young Justice. They launched with Titans because they knew Titans would be the series that most people want to skip. So they figured if people were going to watch it, they'd use the free month trial then, and then they'd have to buy it to watch Young Justice.
Well, tell us why Titans isn't good, please.
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay.
Ooh.
Are you really sure you want me to go into this?
No, I do, because you and Booster have been watching the movies and you've been drinking every time something cringy happens, and I've seen how drunk you've been lately. So please tell me exactly what's going on.
It's a complete disrespect to its fan base at the highest level. It has the latest episode was named Coriander, and it only featured Starfire for like 7 minutes and 45 seconds. It was not like this show. This show does not respect its characters. It doesn't respect its audience. There's a lot of teleportation. There's a lot of they just don't focus on things. They killed off their villains very early on. There's not really a set villain unless you want to count Raven, and it's just there's no the characters that should be very simple to write. And yes, the Teen Titans are very simple characters because they were designed to work off of each other. They're supposed to be a team characters. They're not supposed to be overcomplicated. And they've completely messed up these easy characters in favor of trying to make things over edgy. And a lot of that has to come with the fact that it's the writer from Batman and Robin, who shouldn't even have a job in writing.
It's so damn edgy.
I see. All right. Well, that was very succinct, though. Thank you. And of course, I haven't dared to watch it because it just looks ultra cringe and it's just going to make me mad. And we don't want to make me mad.
It wants to be the Netflix show. It wants to be Daredevil so badly.
It does.
It adds F-bombs and it adds this teenage angst. And the grittiness just feels out of place.
Okay.
It's a tough watch.
Chester, if you want to know something funny, one of the best scenes in this series is when a character calls Raven slut just out of the blue. That's not supposed to be a funny scene, but that's one of the funniest parts in the entire show.
She's just on the bus, because Raven apparently goes to high school, and one of the guys is just like, slut! It's just so funny.
Is the 14-year-old actually a slut?
No,
she was not actually a slut.
Like, none of the boys talked to her. It was legit just putting it in there to be like, Raven's getting bullied. Like, they have no understanding of the characters or even how people work. Mm-hmm. Because
I thought of this great analogy the other day. You ever read Fables?
I did, yeah.
Great. It's a great series, right? So Fables is about all of those kind of characters, like the Big Bad Wolf, Snow White, all these kind of fictional characters living in the real world, right? That's what it feels like watching Titans. It feels like watching these comic book characters living in the real world, all gritty.
Oh, I see. Well, Fables, actually, they had the Telltale series, which was amazing. If you haven't checked that out.
I love The Wolf Among Us.
Yes,
great.
Yes. Very good.
Great play.
Well, anything else, Pope?
I don't like Titans at all. They've made it. They told us at the beginning that Starfire would only be wearing that outfit for maybe 2 episodes, and they've admitted to throwing out several of the characters' personalities and characteristics, and they do it in favor of just pure laziness. Because I'll say this again: the Titans are very easy characters. Like, they're not designed to be overcomplicated. No. And they've really turned a lot of these characters that do have... They've taken away their base characteristics. Starfire is no longer a loving character. She's legit just somebody that's just a total B-word to people for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're murderers, too. That's a big one. They murder all the time.
Oh, that's not good. Well, really? They're trying to make everything murderous, though, aren't they? Everything.
Yes. Well,
Superman,
DC, Batman. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They already kind of did that with Marvel years ago, as everybody starts killing people. So now they're doing it.
DC. But that's a DC thing. DC should be the ones that don't kill, because that's almost in every comic book that most of their characters are like that. They don't kill for a reason.
Right.
No, of course.
Going back to what she was saying about them being simple characters, for crying out loud, Robin is a sidekick. He's literally designed to be as simple as possible as a sidekick. And he's the leader, or whatever you want to call it, of the Titans. So it shouldn't be hard to write him, especially Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson's very simple. It's easy to understand him. He's a great character, but he's very simple.
Yep.
And the one episode I watched.
Oh yeah, in Titans he swears a lot, and he's a complete psycho. He just beats people within an inch of their life just because he can't control his damn emotions, apparently.
And then he complained about Batman. Like, apparently he has
like
no
grind
action.
people's faces against glass and concrete. Like, you see him grind people's faces against things and torches them. He dunks a pair of garden shears into a guy's crotch. Oh man, wow. It's so ugly.
Yeah, wow.
It's just edge for the sake of edge. They think, oh, this is edgy. It'll get people's attention. It doesn't, though.
No.
They're so out of touch with the younger generation. I sound like an old man saying that, but what they want, they don't want that. It's not the right time for that.
Well, there is something about human psychology that needs to be taken into account, and Hollywood's usually good about doing it. We humans have a lot of our little foibles that aren't the nicest things, and one of those is that humans like pretty things. We do.
Mm-hmm.
And the characters in Titans are not pretty. Raven is not pretty. The Starfire character is the opposite of pretty. She is ugly.
Starfire was designed that way so they could blame any criticism on racism. Because the Starfire actress is not unattractive.
Yes,
They've just purposely made her look ugly just so they can go, you're racist if you don't like this show. That is the whole purpose of designing her that way.
Who said the actress was pretty?
I think Ana Diop is very pretty.
No,
I think she's a very beautiful woman.
She's not at all. She's
No.
very unattractive.
Oh no! Without that wig, and when she got her hair straightened, I think she's very attractive.
She's a very, to me. I mean, beauty is objectifying, or not objectifying. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So, of course, what's different? I'm gonna find beauty different compared to how you find it. But I think she's beautiful, and I think that and it is obvious that they purposely made her look ugly for a reason, and they did it because the first thing they did was when the set photos came out, when it showed that they used all their budget on 3 characters' costumes, 2 of the characters they barely use, and actually forgot about for 6 episodes. They wanted to blame it on something. They wanted to use the social justice excuse of you're just sexist because you don't like this.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of it.
Which sounds like it sucks overall. And of course, right now in Titans, Batman is on a murder spree, right?
Yes.
Oh, I can promise you it's gonna be like a Trigon Terror Dream.
Yeah, the end of the last episode, I watched it with him. Trigon shows up, and he's just... That's horrible. But aside from that, Robin basically runs into a force field or whatever, and he's the only one who gets in, so it's obviously just going to be Trigon messing with his head. They set it up.
It's a bait episode.
John Dillard, Game of the System, says, show sounds good. I'll check it out. Thanks, Pope.
Oh, dear.
I mean, you can watch it with us every Friday, John.
Yeah.
If he wants to, you can come on in and see how wonderful it is. We got the rabbit room.
We do.
They mispronounced Azarath and they mispronounced Zol. They have no respect for the characters because if they did, they wouldn't mispronounce them. Because if they could go to the Teen Titans cartoon and learn how to pronounce these character stuff. I mean, heck, Raven says it almost every freaking episode. I don't understand how they were able to just mispronounce it that badly. But there's just no care or respect for these characters, and it shows.
Model 316 says, imagine an episode of Titans where the barista doesn't write their names on the cups and they have to figure out whose is whose. That would be interesting.
That would involve real drama, emotion, and conflict. I don't think this show is capable of that.
Wow.
That would literally be better writing than what I've seen from
that would be thought. These writers don't put thought into it. The best episode was actually Doom Patrol, and that one was written by Marv Wolfman, which is when the characters have most of their conflict, which is interesting because every other episode that he doesn't have his hands on, the characters stink. They just it sucks. This whole series sucks, and it makes me really sad to be a Teen Titans fan.
I actually spoke to Marv Wolfman recently. He's a nice guy.
Oh, he's a lovely guy.
And why did you speak to him?
I'm trying to get him on my show.
I knew the answer to that.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm one of those guys. I send out invitations to my show to everybody, and I only get about.
Did he say anything?
Oh yeah, no, I talked to him a little bit. I've only got about 4% response, but hey, that's 4%.
It's better than 0%.
Yes, it is.
Did he say that he could do it?
Yeah, he said next year he'd be able to come on. He's very busy right now. He said he's working on stuff.
Yes.
Uh-oh. You're going to give her fits. She's going to be hyperventilating.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I probably my favorite writer.
Well, we have to see. I mean, the artists are very flaky, as you know. Who knows? When he's on,
He's a
on.
writer.
Oh, well, he's okay. Well, maybe that's better. But I mean, as far as our conversation went, he will be. But we'll have to see. I think it'll be a good conversation. Like I said, he's a real nice guy. He's very chatty and you know, he loves comics. So it would be an absolutely awesome thing to have him on the show. So fingers crossed, I guess.
I think you mean that specific episode of Fanspeak would be my show, and you guys would be guest starring.
Okay. But we'll see how it goes. But it'll be really cool, and like I said, next year sometime. Yeah, no, I think we've talked this to death. I do find it interesting that they would launch the live stream service with this show that is doing so poorly. But if you look here in the article, they say that quite the opposite of what you're saying. Let me just read the top of the article real quick. It's never been a better time to be a fan of DC Comics and the DC Universe streaming app, launched back in September. It must have for both the diehards and those just starting to dip their toes in the DC world with various media. After an understandably somewhat rough initial outing working out the bugs, DC Universe looks to be going bigger as it enters 2019. Today, it announced more content coming to its television and movie streaming service, including the criminally underrated Green Lantern, the animated series, which is a really good series. January will also see the All-Star Superman animated adaptation as part of the streaming library, meaning that practically all of Dwayne McDuffie's DC animation works will be available in one place, which is very cool. But then they come down here and they are talking about. Did I? No, I didn't skip it. They come down here and they're talking about the service that launched. But then they're talking about how there is 97% of the viewing audience is actually watching Titans. And therefore, it's so 90% of the people that are subscribing are watching Titans, which would seem or suggest that a lot of people are watching Titans. So there seems to be some conflict of understanding here.
Does it say how many of the people that is?
No, we don't have a count of how many subscribers there are.
That's the trick they do with the numbers.
I can promise you from running several Teen Titans groups and from running several Starfire groups that it's not Starfire fans watching this, and it's not comic book Teen Titans fans watching this, and it's barely cartoon fans. Because we've only had like 2 or 3 people in a group of thousands of people that have actually confessed to watching this show.
Well,
so I can kind of tell you there that the Teen Titans fans, if it is people watching it, Teen Titans fans aren't the ones. Which is what they claim that this is supposed to be aimed for.
Well, and they also claiming this. Also, 30 years later, and Jason Todd finally gets some love with fans voting him to live in DC's recreation of Should Robin Live or Die poll. So, because we know what happened with that back in the day. So it looks like they've had another poll, and the fans decided to keep the Robin. So. Yeah, I don't know. This article is contradicting what I'm hearing, but that's not new, is it?
No.
Well, they also voted that Barbara Gordon was better for Dick Grayson, so I can promise you that it's just people that are shippers that are watching this.
Yeah.
That are actually paying for it, because there's not a lot of people. When you do even look at the polls, there's really not enough people watching it, especially considering that. Huh?
Go ahead.
I can't hear you. I didn't hear what you said.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, let's continue on to the next story we have, which is an interesting one. In and of itself, not so much, but this is something I've seen happen before, and I thought we might be interesting to talk about. Hindu organizations upset over new X-Men comic urges Marvel to apologize. Now. we've seen religious groups in the past get upset with things that are being done in the comics and demand apologies and stuff like that. But of course, and I'm not going to get into a free speech conversation here because that's, what's the point? But it is interesting to me that, one of the things that DC does differently than Marvel is DC tends to stay away from any real world stuff and focus on their own creations, whereas Marvel wants to have its foot in the real world. And there's pluses and minuses to that, right? But in this article, they had a comic book, and you can see the photo here of this temple in the back, and because in the comic book it was represented as a Hindu temple or a Hindi temple. The Universal Society of Hinduism is upset that their religion is being disrespected and misrepresented in the comic book. Now, what do you guys think about the idea of having religious stuff in a comic book, real world religion, and the argument that the religious people involved can complain about it if they don't like it? What do you guys think about that?
I think both are fine. I think both are fine. The problem is you have to be delicate with these sort of things because religion is obviously very, 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 very deeply personal to people. But at the same time, I don't want to stifle a creative idea. If it's, this X-Man thinks that that's a false religion or whatever, then that's what he thinks. That's part of his character. So you can't just constantly run around and, this will offend this group, I can't do it. That's just an endless regression until eventually you end up with just nonsense, garbage films and books like we have right now that are too afraid to offend anybody except for people on the right wing who just let it happen.
True. Todd, you seem to have an opinion on it.
Because it makes me wonder if it's even true because, it's a fictional tale. Right? Comics are fictional. The X-Men don't really exist. So I think there's like some kind of weird fringe minority group that goes around trying to right everything that they think is wrong. I don't think if you polled a bunch of Hindu people, they'd go, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm offended by it. I don't think they would even know it, to be honest. I think this has nothing to do with Hindu people or their religion. I think we're all smart enough to realize this is a fictional story, and these characters are written by people who want to just it's not. I mean, I don't know if this guy has some kind of angst or anything against the Hindu religion. For all we know, he might have been raised in it, and he's trying to rebel against it. Who knows? But it's every writer's prerogative to sort of take their characters or write their stories the way they want. And who are we to go, oh no, that's wrong? Who are we to say, baby, it's cold outside it's 7 years old, And does that mean Santa Baby is a bullying song because she's trying to bully Santa for all the best gifts? I mean, come on, people. It's ridiculous.
I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus. That's got to be something evil there. Yeah.
Take your entertainment for what it is, and if you don't like it, change the channel or don't buy the book or don't.
Mummy is a damn slapper.
It's just it's aggravating my every nerve.
Yeah, no, and the reason I brought this article up is not, of course, I see nothing in the article that says that Marvel apologized, but here's the interesting thing. When they went and changed Thor into Lady Thor, it actually upset quite a bit of the Scandinavian people who still worship Thor, right? And they're no comment, nothing, right? Anytime they see them do this to Christian stuff, no comment, right? But then you'll see something done that they'll get some kind of Muslim comment, and they're immediately apologetic and jumping on, oh, I'm so sorry you felt that way. And it's it's disgusting because it's unbalanced. Either support the writer's vision or don't. Make a choice, right?
There's a very good reason why. And it's because 97% of all terrorists in the world come from one particular religion. So
true. There's
a very good reason why they're afraid to offend them. I mean, look what happened in France. Somebody made a comic that offended them, and a bunch of people started walking around shooting people. It's a cosmic law that the most intolerant wins, and a certain group of people is extremely intolerant to mockery. Christians seem to be very tolerant of it for the most part. and so do pretty much. I would venture to guess most of the Scandinavians would be too. But like you said, they got a little bit upset about the Thor thing, but nothing really came of it. They just cried about it a little bit, and then everybody moved on.
Yeah.
Whereas different religious group, something may have came of it. So that's what it is. It's fear. They'll pretend it's a virtue signal, and we don't want to hurt them because they're oppressed and marginalized. No, they're afraid of them. They're terrified that they're going to offend them to the point where they become violent. That's what it is.
No, you're right. You're right. I do think it's funny in this little line right here. They say Hinduism was the or is the oldest and third largest religion of the world with about 1 billion adherents. All of them living in India, by the way, for the most part. Rich philosophical thought. Well, you know what? I'm not going to get into a long diatribe on this, but I will tell you this: every religion we have today and every religion that came before are all coming from the same religion. They're all the same. Hinduism is no different from the Greek pantheon or Christianity or Muslims or Buddhism. They're all coming from the same root, the same stories, the same ideas. Now, I don't know why these same stories continue, like the flood and Adam and Eve and Babylon and all those stories. I don't know why they persist, but they have persisted for thousands of years, and they're all over the world, and every religion comes from that. Whether you think so or not, I do apologize, you are wrong, because they all do. And those of us who work in the anthropological field can very clearly and easily show you this delineation. So for you to sit there and make comment about third largest or oldest and stuff, it doesn't make sense, because all these religions are the same. The only difference is the dogma.
Right. And the other thing is there's no real way to know that specifically, because a lot of there's religions that have gone away. Like, there's no telling before, 5,000-10,000 years ago, there could have been some great religion somewhere that was
Sure.
dozens of them, in fact. So it's let's call it the oldest. We don't know that. There's no way to know that.
That's true.
It's a silly virtue signaling line, really. Just that's really all it is. Trying to add credence to his quote unquote argument, the writer's quote unquote argument here. So, or the person that they quoted. It is what it is. You're right. Most religions, pretty much all of them, you're probably right, probably all of them, are derived from the same thing, or the same concepts anyway. And you can see this even in language, especially European languages. A lot of them have the same root for just the term God, or something very similar. It's been extrapolated. Or mother,
father.
right.
Hey, remember when we were a comics channel?
We are.
Well, here's how you tie that back into comics, because right now, comics are modern myths. There are modern.
They are
in a lot of ways. There are new Zeus. There are new Hercules. There are new pantheon of gods, especially with DC characters that are godlike in a lot of ways.
Yep.
So humans don't change very much. We just find different ways to tell the same story.
That's right. And the comic book heroes are the gods of the past, and their stories are the same often. It's almost as if humans are limited to the number of stories we can truly tell. Go figure. But yes, it is absolutely related to comic books, Booster. You just need to, be a little bit more sophisticated.
Oh, quite. I'm sorry. I'll try to be more.
No. All right. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting article I want to bring up. Doesn't mean nothing here or there. Doesn't mean nothing, because Hindus aren't going to kill anybody. But anyway, moving on. Our last little bit we're going to talk to today. Of course, always want to mention Indicron. Definitely. Pixel Traders, Indicron is an amazing thing. It's very useful to the pros and consumers both. If you're not checking it out, please do go check it out. And there's some good big changes coming, and it's going to be exciting coming into next year, what's going on with Indicron, for sure. But today I want to do something a little bit different. Instead of looking at the Indiegogos, I want to look at what is coming out. And this here is Comics List, and it's the new comic book release list for Wednesday, December 12th, 2018. Now, it's interesting to me that new comics are coming out on Wednesdays now. And you guys say that's been that way for a long time, but I remember when I was a kid, it was Monday. So something has changed somewhere. I don't know when it happened, but I haven't lived in America for most of my adult life, so it's not weird that I wouldn't know that. But let's come down here and let's look at what was released here on the 12th of last week, and tell us what you guys are reading, what you're looking at, what you think about some of this stuff here. So let's just start at the top. And does anyone know anything about 215 Inc.? It's a company.
Nope.
Okay.
Negative.
No, not really.
All right. How about A Wave Blue World?
Not at all.
Okay. AC Comics. Anybody? FemForce. That just
They've been
sounds
around for a
amazing.
But it's been their only thing.
FemForce. Ha ha. Look at
No,
that.
this is a very old comic.
It looks
Oh.
old. It looks old, actually. But it's $10. What is it? A trade? It must be a trade.
Ooh, lad.
$10 for a comic called FemForce.
Yep.
You're all in, right?
The pink text is real.
How many pages?
It is, dude. The
Oh,
pink
no.
text. Why so? That's funny. But no one's reading that, I'm assuming. How about Action Lab Entertainment? See, because so far
That's what
I've heard of
of.
none of this stuff.
Really?
I've heard of Action Lab. And I know Ahoy Comics,
Stray,
but that's about
Stray
it.
is from Action Lab.
Yeah, I
What's
think
that?
I've heard of Action Lab.
It's sort of a character, a costume character that has like a dog mask.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know they have Albert Einstein Time Mason.
Well, I'm in.
I'm
That
all
sounds like a great book there.
The
does.
Action Verse is actually their superhero universe.
Oh, I see. Well, I've never heard of
Action.
them, but I may have to check it out. That's actually a cool thing when I'm doing the previews, Diamond previews with Brad. I'm seeing all these comics I don't know about. It's very cool. I'm learning so much in the past year that I've been involved here with this Comicsgate, and I am hashtagging in the air, quoting in the air. But I've learned so much about comic books in the past year. It's quite amazing. Anyway, moving on. Aftershock Comics. Anybody know anything about this?
You don't read any action Aftershock comics? None of them?
Nope.
Not one. No.
The Rough Riders was the Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders kind of
Well,
book.
it sounds interesting though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that
have
does sound
Animosity is a good book. I don't read them, but I've looked into them. I did read one of their books. It was done by they got what's his name from Alien Legion and Tribe. What's that guy? Larry Stroman. They got him to do a couple issues of a book, and it was really, really well. You know,
Oh.
it was done really well. It was good to see him kind of come back, by the way, because he's sort of been missing from comics for a while. But he's
Well.
still the biggest. He's still the guy with the biggest chip on his shoulder, though.
Oh, is he? Well, there seems to be a lot of entertainer types have chips on their shoulder for some reason. But next is Ahoy Comics. No clue. Captain Ginger #3. I got to see this. Hold on a second.
This is a anamorphic comic, with like a lion, I think.
Oh wow, it's kind of look like what Hillel is doing, huh? New Hero Comics.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Enlarge
All
it.
right. Can I enlarge it? I can. Yes.
Yeah.
Looks furry.
It does look furry. Hey, there's a market for it though, right?
Boosters
Is
in.
there? Boosters?
Oh yeah, the furry market is there, man.
Yeah, Booster loves furry stuff. He's all about the furry.
And
Shut
anime.
your mouth, Chester.
Now we're finally getting into one I recognize. First one here, Albatross Funny Books, they call it. But I know Albatross a little bit, and when I was doing a review this week, Mega Ghost came up. It looks like a fun little kids book, actually.
It's supposed to be wait a minute, this must be Powell's line. Oh, what's his name? Powell. The Goon? This is supposed to be that guy's line.
Oh, really?
Albatross.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Look on Hillbilly, I bet it's him. I forget his first name. Why am I forgetting his first name? Fart me.
Well, thank you for using a less offensive word. Eric Powell.
Yeah.
There
Don't
you
you
go.
remember
Oh
the
yeah,
Goon?
I've seen this a few
Yeah,
times.
sure. I know the Goon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I know the Goon too.
Yes, a lot of people do. It was quite popular, a little indie. Model 3 says, FemForce is a tale of college-age men who go on a mission. Okay, thank you. American Mythology Productions, not a clue in the world. Dude.
Oh yeah.
Nope. All right, I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the next one, huh?
All right, Antarctica Press, quite familiar. But I knew them before all this stuff happened, though, so I've heard of them before.
Oh, Oh, you knew him before it was cool. I see, Chester.
Well, no. I think they were cool before, and therefore I knew who they were because they put out some pretty good books, actually.
Wasn't Punchline on Indie Chrome?
It was.
Yeah.
Hey, can we check that one out?
We did.
No, I mean, can you, just click on that?
Oh, right now? Oh, yeah, sure. I could. Okay, I'll do it. All right. But yeah,
I don't know why. I just really like that costume design on this chick. I think it's really awesome.
That's right, the red and white.
Yeah.
Chick. Yes.
Yeah.
But
it's a really cool costume design.
It is, yeah. And we've seen some of these Indiegogo comics go on to Antarctic or Alterna. Both of those companies are certainly getting involved in picking up some of this stuff. And it's really unfortunate what happened to Antarctic because they have shown themselves for a long time to be very supportive of indie work. And they usually don't they usually don't get bullied around like they were by Mr. Wade and his goon patrol.
Allegedly.
No, bullshit.
Allegedly.
No, bullshit.
Yeah, but what did they suffer? Did they suffer anything?
They suffered loss of income.
Yeah,
I mean, Richard has to bloody ship these out all himself, right? With a publisher, couldn't they have handled that themselves?
I know what you're talking about. I get it now.
Yeah.
Archie
they were
comic.
kind of. They could have done. Obviously, they could have made a much better choice, but they kind of were put in a vice there. I kind of understand how they caved. I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
Yeah, no, I think they made a mistake. But nevertheless, it is what it is. Archie, haven't read Archie in a long time. It's pretty much a girl's book anyway. Avatar Press, I've heard of them before, but I haven't read anything from them in forever. Boom Studios, I like Boom Studios. I got a bunch of Boom Studios stuff. Matter of fact, I got Skyborn sitting right behind me. I got to read the entire run too. Yeah, Frank Cho, dude. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Boom Studios is pretty good if you guys haven't checked them out. They got some Dark Crystal stuff going on over there too recently.
I actually heard that their Power Rangers books are amazing if you like the Power Rangers.
Oh my god, Dan Mora?
Yeah.
You guys know who Dan Mora is. You see a lot of his covers in DC, but I did not know he was doing this Power Rangers book.
Yeah, they do look good. Yeah.
They look awesome because he's a really good artist. He's the one that's doing these covers that you look at and you go, wow, that's very animated.
Yeah, look at the detail here. It is beautiful. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, from what I hear, those are actually very good books. They're very well told stories.
Well, Boom is a solid company for sure. We also have Boundless, which I know nothing about, but their jungle fantasy looks pretty good though. I have seen the book itself. I didn't know it was Boundless until I went looking at this before. But I have actually. Oh, they're not showing here. But I have seen these jungle fantasy books. They're well drawn.
Is this Christian Stanier?
Okay, this is porn.
Well, it's lewd. I wouldn't know if I call it porn, but yeah.
It's porn. Who's involved in this? Can you click one? Oh, Jose Rip. All right, never mind.
This is Ron Adrian is the artist, but it's pretty good though. Caliber, no clue. Charms, no clue. Comic Shop, no clue.
Whoa! You don't remember Caliber? This is actually.
Oh my God! Todd, do you know them all?
Well, he is.
You don't know Caliber?
Remember Dead World?
No, not at all. No.
Come on.
No one does.
Let me check it out. Fine. Let me look.
It's actually Dead World. I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
Bully Booster.
Now look at that. That's the same title. You know what I mean, as far as like how it looks, as what it did in the 70s and 80s. That doesn't ring a bell to you?
No, dude.
Because there's Dead World beer.
No.
Maybe it's sort of.
It doesn't. I don't recognize it at all, dude.
Man, I thought you were hip.
I do apologize. But I don't know any of this stuff. With Dark Horse, awesomeness. I don't know how they've been doing recently, but I love Dark Horse in the 80s and 90s, man. They were amazing stuff, especially Conan. Oh, my God. Hawk World. Is that what it's called? Hawk World? But Dark Horse is awesome.
Yeah, they're being propped up by a few titles, and that's going to end up hurting them.
Yeah. Oh. And they seem to be doing a lot of more of stuff like Mystery Science Theater and things like that. I don't know. It's IDW does a ton of that stuff, and they're kind of
Hey. Animal Man by Grant Morrison, Volume 1, 30th. That sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, it does, huh?
Hmm.
You like the Grant Morrison? He's all right though. I don't mind him. We're getting to the top of the hour.
Wait a minute. Grant Morrison's currently writing Green Lantern. Did you see this stupid volcano head guy? Tell me
I didn't read.
You gotta be high to go.
I didn't read that myself, but it looked rubbish.
How about we have a character whose head is a volcano? Oh yeah, that sounds great. And you grab chips. Oh, come on.
I don't know what he was doing with this. He doesn't. I don't think he has to try anymore. I think he's filthy rich.
Sounds like some good stuff they were smoking when they came up with that one.
Well, come on, Grant Morrison and drugs. They're a marriage made in heaven. I mean, come on.
Grant Morrison just was drugs. I thought drugs took Grant Morrison.
Anyway, we don't have time to go through it. It's too bad. I should have started this earlier because this is fun.
We could have. What do you? Jeez, go and buy some good stuff here.
You are offending this man's sensibilities on these.
Oh, look, there are 200 other things that you haven't heard of that Todd needs to chastise you about.
I know, but I don't have time. I have to end the show, so I do apologize.
We can't do 2 hours?
No, we can't. Definitely not. I have work actually,
he is seriously upset about this.
He is, man. But anyway, we definitely need to do that again though, because I actually it's very informative and interesting to see what's going on, and having someone like Todd on here who is so well informed is actually wonderful, right? Yes. But anyway, thank you guys all for coming and joining us today. We, of course, as usual, appreciate it. And it's a lot of fun. We didn't have the Denali in here for the very first time. This is the first show without Denali.
Who's going to end the show with an inspirational quote and a namaste?
I guess that would have to be Pope Fire.
Okay, Pope Fire. Give us an inspirational quote.
Try not to die.
Namaste.
Namaste. All right, solid advice. Try not to die. I say that to my son every time he leaves to go back to university. Don't die.
Just don't die.
Yeah, just don't die. Chester's time management is overrated. Yeah, okay, thanks, John. I'm like one of the only streamers that actually has time management, you bastard.
You're right.
All right.
I count every second I'm on a stream because I hate being on stream.
Well, that's great promotion. Everyone's going to come back for that, Pope. Thanks. All right. But anyway, guys, thank you all for coming. Love to everybody. A lot of fun. And later.
Good night.